Chief Berkey, thank you for inviting us out here to your community to talk about this wildland fire mitigation and resiliency conversation that's we've been having for quite some time now. So here we are in Cambria. The challenges Cambria faces is very similar to that of the city of San Luis Obispo and our surrounding areas. And one thing I will say, having only been here for a short time, there's a lot of camaraderie among fire departments, and being able to get to work together is a real privilege and honor. So thank you for having us come out here. Show us what your challenges here in Cambria that residents are having to now look at things maybe a little bit different since March and the new fire maps.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, and I'm honored to have you up in our area. As you mentioned, there's a great camaraderie between fire departments as we share a lot of the same problems that we have to mitigate as we move forward. And a big problem we have here in Cambria is we're a wildland urban interface. What that means is we have homes that are built right here in the middle of a forest. As you can see behind us, we've got a vast variety of different vegetation. We've got Monterey pines along with live oaks mixed with a lot of chaparral type vegetation. And right now it's been mitigated because we're in the later parts of the year, but during the hot summer or springtime, this vegetation can get up to about 4 feet. And so with the homes being very close to us, just much like in San Luis City, all these areas in San Luis Obispo County share the same qualities. We all have vegetation right next to homes, and that's what we're here to talk about, is to see how we can mitigate a lot of that and how we can help the homeowners and help the residents of San Luis County mitigate a lot of those issues that we're all faced with.
Earlier, before we started filming, we were talking about time and the significance and the importance of time. Would you like to expand on that a little bit for your residents of Cambria?
Absolutely. And so when you're talking about time, that's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're talking about. When we reduce the height of the vegetation, if we can somehow limb up a lot of the trees and reduce a lot of that what we call ladder fuels, if we can somehow reduce that, the threat isn't completely gone, but what we're doing is we're giving our fire departments time to come out and actually mitigate the hazard. And it's also giving residents time to leave. It's really kind of reducing the amount of time that it takes to avoid emergencies or mitigate those emergencies.
So we all have the reverse 911 system. We alert SLO, right? And we all have those types of tools. And explain to a resident when they get that alert, how important is it, A, to be prepared for that, and B, to leave when asked or prompted to through these alerts. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Absolutely. And so that is a great point. So ReadySLO.org is the kind of hub where we want people to go to sign up for these alerts. AlertSLO.org is another great, that's not an emergency alert, but it's going to give you a little bit of information on if there is something around your area. It's not the immediate threat. You're not going to get a leave now from Alert SLO, but you're going to get it from we call them a WUI. It's a wireless emergency alert signal that you're going to get on your phone. You don't have to sign up for that. It's automatic. But what we're really trying to promote here in Cambria and the rest of the county is we're really trying for you to be aware of these issues that are happening. Maybe if you see a plume of smoke, the time is to leave. Don't wait for us to tell you. Get out early. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're really trying to, the way to do that is to get people prepared. That way, when you get that alert, it's not a, oh no, what do I do? It's, I know what to do. I'm ready to leave. I already have a plan in place, and that's what we're really trying to promote here. And that's really what's going to save lives. It's going to keep people from really panicking at that last moment.
Right, and emergencies could be more than fire, right? I mean, a mudslide, right?
Absolutely.
Those earthquakes
Yep.
certainly are things that we face in our county. One of the resources that I know that we have on our websites are, if you have 5 minutes to leave, these are the items you should be grabbing. If you have 15 minutes, go to our website, see what those lists tell you. What we don't want is if you have 5 minutes, you're grabbing the wrong things. And I understand there are certain memorabilias of items that we have that are not replaceable, but at the end of the day, your life and your family's life is more important. And so utilize those resources that we have online. have a bag pre-prepped, ready to go. So if you only get the 5-minute warning and emergency vehicles are coming in, we want you to get out of that emergency so that we can help stop that mitigation. Is that about right, sir? Is that
Absolutely, well said. And I want to piggyback on top of that. The information that's out there can be a little overwhelming sometimes because there's a lot of it. And so what I recommend people to do is to choose one website, whether it's San Luis Obispo City's website, whether it's the county OES website. For the residents here in Cambria, the Cambria CSD website has a lot of good links to that. But try not to be overwhelmed and try not to go too far, but just pick one of those websites. All that information is going to be on there, and there's going to be a lot of great just little nuggets, we call them, just to kind of fuel that emergency preparedness direction.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the time to help frame the situation that our county is facing. It's not impossible, right? We have the tools and the resources to do it, and we're going to start with education. Today, a homeowner here in Cambria has invited us, and you've invited us into your backyard here, and we want to start shooting some videos showing what you can do, that we can still have a beautiful home in Cambria or in city of San Luis Obispo without clear cutting all the vegetation, right?
Absolutely. And we know that's what we really want to promote. This is not about, I've said it before a million times, moonscaping. We don't want our community to look moonscape. We moved here because of the vegetation and because of the beauty. Cambria Pines by the Sea, that's why a lot of people are here.
Sure.
But we want to make sure that we recognize the hazard and we recognize how we can lower that risk. And that's all we're talking about. It's a very simple way. We're here to help you do that. That's what I'm proud to be here with you and talk about this and get our citizens, get the county citizens moving in the right direction.
Thank you, sir. We have a team of individuals that are all excited to be able to shoot some more educational videos. So let's get started and take a look at Defensible Space. Berkey, thank you for having us out here in the city of Cambria. We have a wonderful team. Let's introduce our team and what they bring to the table.
Hi, I'm Stan Telezan, a homeowner, and I'm glad to have this team here to help us spread the good news about Defensive Space.
Hi, Tony Safford, Red Cross and Cambria resident. I'm the lead for our neighborhood liaison program, working very closely with Chief Berkey.
Good morning, Freddie Ide, biologist with the City of San Luis Obispo, help to speak about the natural resources and defensible space opportunities.
I'm Joe Little. I'm the emergency manager for the City of San Luis Obispo, here to see an actual home and property that's been updated for defensible space and home hardening and how that can impact our response, our resilience to wildfire, and our recovery once it does happen.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Peterson, fire inspector for the City of San Luis Obispo, and I'm excited to share some tips about home hardening and defensible space.
Hey, good morning. I'm Walt Galt. I'm the city arborist with the City of San Luis Obispo, and we're here to observe how the trees have been maintained and how they can be incorporated into a defensible space in a home and neighborhood.
Good morning, everybody. This is a great example of defensible space, and the property owner here has made sure that he's maintained his trees and got rid of all the ladder fuels in protection of the structure. If we look on the other side of the fence, however, this is where we get into more of the wildland urban interface. So we've got a more diverse canopy of trees out here in different species. And this is where we really want to make sure that we've integrated the defensible space, but also the management in the wildland area. So looking at, there's been some maintenance out here, but there is a dead stump on the ground. There's an adjacent branch that's on the ground. So there's still ladder fuels and debris out here that could be removed to make this whole community much more resilient over time. So this is what we're looking for in that wildland urban interface, the WUI zone, that you'll be hearing more about in the future. So I got to commend you for the job well done to protect your structure, and this is what we want to emulate throughout the community as well.
Great. We've got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. We're back with another great example of defensible space from this homeowner. We have great examples of Zone 0, Zone 1, and Zone 2 of defensible space. For Zone 0 here, we have 5 feet away from the combustible fence. The homeowner chose to go with pebble, which is a non-combustible material. We have no storage up against the house. And then moving into zone 1, we have a very lean green zone. The grass is maintained 4 inches. Any shrubs or trees are trimmed up and spaced really, really well. And then going further into zone 2, you can see even the trees are limbed up and no combustible debris down below.
So Chief, I noticed when we got up here to Cambria that you guys have great vegetation management along the roadway. Why is that important?
So vegetation management along the roadway is just as important as our defensible space that we're talking about around residents. So what it does is we're really trying to mitigate fire spread, and more importantly, we're trying to mitigate access to our vehicles to enter the area, and then also for citizens to be able to exit the area without an immediate threat right next to the road. And so what we're really trying to do is promote that. So again, the fire spread is slowed down significantly. We're doing the same mitigation actions that we are along the roadway as we would, like I said, around the homes. And so we're trying to limb up the larger trees. We're also trying to take care of the grass that's around the area. Here in Cambria, we also have a lot of vacant lots that are right up to the roadway, and so those are typically mitigated through that same process. They're kind of using the same techniques in those areas.
And I definitely see where the large vegetation is completely gone, and we have what we consider a light flashy fuel, a small little bit of native grasses that are growing. And I'm thinking in a built environment like San Luis Obispo, making sure that when we do have a landscape area near a sidewalk or a roadway, that homeowners on their level can keep that stuff trimmed back so it's not a hazard for their on foot or in vehicle evacuation. But I really appreciate what you guys do out here, and it makes my job as emergency manager in the evacuation component in any planning, it makes it that much easier when we have great access like this.
Absolutely. And as we're standing here, I'm looking at the vegetation around us, and it's obviously very trimmed. It's been mitigated very well, but that's not the case in July or even earlier in April and the springtime season. So it gets very high, 4 feet, and we have to remind ourselves that just the way it looks right now isn't how it always is, and that's the way for the future as well. So we're mitigating a lot of these issues for the future. We recognize that we're in drier climate. We're recognizing that things are getting hotter, drier. Winds are coming. Those are really the factors that we're trying to prevent fires from spreading so rapidly.
Great. Thank you so much, Chief. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Walter, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us here with this team in Cambria. One of the things that you noticed when we walked up was this oak behind us, right? And just as tree limbing and maintenance is as important to the city of San Luis Obispo, it really is important to the residents of Cambria. Can you explain what you saw and why you have a pair of loppers there?
Yeah, certainly. So right here we have a well-maintained oak tree. It's on the younger side, but it's been well pruned and regularly pruned as part of a defensible space maintenance routine, and that's going to make future maintenance really simple and easy. So we have a tree that's been limbed up 6 feet for ladder fuels, and we also have a canopy that's been maintained at a distance of 5 feet approximately from the roof line. As we can see though, there's a couple limbs that are growing close to the home, and so we can bring this tree back into compliance with defensible space by simply snipping the limb back and restoring the defensible space distance.
How important is it every day or every weekend to do that was pretty easy, right?
That was really
How
easy.
important is it for our home residents in the county of SLO to keep an eye on this?
It is important, but it's not necessarily a daily task. It can be a monthly or an annual task, but it's something that you should be paying attention to seasonally, because these are living things, and they change through the seasons. And so this oak will grow at different times of the year depending on rainfall and water availability, and usually will put on corresponding growth. And at that point, it's good to be mindful of your distances for defensible space.
We have a lot of oak trees in the area, right? Are there any times of year or seasons when we shouldn't be doing what you just did with taking a little limb off?
You know, Ideally, you probably wouldn't want to prune when it's raining. Drier is definitely better, and when a tree is actively growing, it's better able to compartmentalize wounds. But when you're making small pruning cuts, it's usually not a big a deal. But if you had to make a large pruning cut where you'd opening up a large wound on the tree, you'd want to be particularly mindful of when you were doing that and make sure that it's a clean cut and that you're not inviting pathogens into the wound that could harm the tree.
Excellent. Thanks, Walter. Thanks for catching that. I'm sure the homeowner will appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we're back here again with Walter. And Walter, again, I really appreciate your time. We live in a county with a lot of terrain, right? Lots of slopes to be considered here. And behind us, you got here and you pointed out this tree and what the homeowner has been doing with this tree and on the slope. Tell our community members what you're looking at and what we're thinking of when it comes to fire safety and keeping the healthiness of this tree while it's planted on a slope.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, when we look at the health of a tree, we want to be mindful of how the terrain changes around the tree and which direction the tree is facing for growth patterns. We have a cluster of toyon here, and we can see that as I move up the slope, I'm encountering vegetation. Now, I'm about 6 feet tall, and we want to maintain that 6-foot vegetation clearance. And so as the slope comes up, we also want our pruning to come up as well. And sometimes that can result in a tilted canopy, but it is a canopy that will be defensible.
Thanks, Walter. I appreciate you pointing that out. We live in a beautiful area, and we want to preserve that area. I mean, look at this day that we've been blessed with to come out here and do these educational videos. So thank you for pointing that out to me and making sure that our community knows. One of the newest additions that was added on to the 2025 California WUI code was the gutter and the downspout. They've made the changes for homeowners to be non-combustible material. This homeowner has chosen to do a metal flashing type gutter and downspout, and the importance of it is that as debris, if we have a tree canopy above our house, it has drop. That drop then piles up into the gutter, and during a wildfire, ember can get into the gutter, and that will actually help promote fire against your structure. So this is a wonderful example of what homeowners are encouraged to do in the next 3 years during the grace period of Zone 0 and home hardening, is to get a licensed contractor, get a bid, and change out your gutters and your downspouts to a non-combustible material. This homeowners chose to enclose their eaves, and as you can see, not only did they enclose it, but they also put the appropriate size wire mesh for ember resistant to capture those embers from going up into the home and into the space. So as you can see, this is an enclosed eave. We recommend this. This is the highest level of protection you can have for your home and when it comes to home hardening.
One of the things we've been working on in San Luis Obispo, and I know you've had success out here in Cambria, is Firewise community. Firewise is a recognized program where neighborhoods go in and they do some defensible space work, home hardening, and they have group projects and they work together. Can you tell me about how the process was for getting that established here at Cambria?
Thanks. Well, it is a community-wide effort, as you describe. It involves Fire Safe Council Group, involves our grants to maintain the forest behind us. It includes homeowner preparedness, educational work in the community, home hardening, defensible space, emergency preparedness, all the kinds of educational materials we can bring to the community. Our approach here is very much community-focused. We have a network of community liaisons, of which I'm part, and it's all about educating our community in preparedness and evacuation routes, alerts, go bags, that kind of material, as well as a program through the Red Cross of homeowner inspections and home hardening best practices.
Okay. And now that initial assessment that the folks do with their neighborhood, is it a individual home by home, or is it the whole area? you know, in my time, I've definitely walked folks through their neighborhoods, and we point out, you know, good things and things need improvement. And what was your experience with that? Were people receptive to the information they heard? Were they wanting to get on board? And what are some of the obstacles you've seen for some of that work to get done?
Well, conceptually, everyone is quite open to it. Their capacity to do the work varies. Many of our population is older, fixed income. They don't have the resources to do it, even if they have the will to do it. And we don't have the community structure to bring those resources here yet. So it's a long road of education and preparedness. We're looking at a runway of years, not months, but slowly, house by house, community by community. And there is something like the old concept of herd mentality. You know, if many houses in a community are defensible and hardened, it reduces the risk of the spread of flames, and in the analogy of the spread of the virus. If houses aren't, houses that are mitigated will be at risk because the surrounding homes are not properly prepared. So it is ultimately Defensible Space is a community-wide effort, and we have to approach it that way in the long run.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on getting Firewise out here, and I hope the city of SLO also follows in your lead in short order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, so as the code amendment has rolled out this July, your agency, my agency, from the state level is expected to adopt that code. And what code I'm referencing is the 2025 California WUI code. Never existed before. Now it does exist. So obviously we've been in it, we've been reading it, digesting it. What does that mean for our community members? You brought up a good point, and that point is that that level of expectation can feel overwhelming. And so here we have a house that they chose the pea gravel. That can be expensive, right? They have a fence that is non-combustible. It is greater than 5 feet, but what about the homeowner that has a combustible fence within 5 feet? What about the vegetation management around their home? Maybe they're monetary limitations or physical limitations. Would you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely, and you're bringing up some solid points there. Everything that you mentioned is not only, it's not just particular to Cambria. It's the entire county is dealing with this, and so what we're really trying to emphasize is that just take that first step. The one step sometimes that's the hardest to take, is the first step. But once you take that first step, it just starts, leading into the second and third, and we're really trying to kind of build on those steps. We're not expecting absolute perfection. There's the grace period you've talked about. And so I think what we're trying to do is just get people to be educated, be aware, and we're here to help. We're always here to assist them. If there's any questions, please reach out to us. All of our departments, as you mentioned earlier, we're collaborating on this. We're all on the same team here. And I think moving forward, if we can really get people to understand it's just that one step, let's just move forward, and I think we're going to be in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. So January 1 of 2026, the code goes into effect. Chapter 5 of that code talks about home hardening components. If you leave your home the way it is and don't do anything, you're not expected to make any changes. But if you go do a remodel, they need to know that they need to be within WUI compliant, right? If their home is in a very high fire hazard severity zone, then they need to also take into consideration the defensible space measures. Correct? That's what we're talking about, right?
Absolutely. And again, we really want people to maintain that level of education and just understand why we're here and understand what we're really trying to push for. There is legality to it. There's a legal backing that we're talking about. We're all going to be held to this standard, and thank you for pointing those out. But again, what we're trying to do above all of that is community safety. We're really trying to make sure that we emphasize that your neighbors, yourself, that we're maintaining this level of community safety, and that's really the end result. We're really trying to push, that we're all on the same team, and we're all here to keep each other safe.
Yeah. So let's talk about the money side of things. I know the discussions at the chief level have been, we need to be petitioning the federal government for some grant money, right? And I know we're working on it individually as an agency, but as a county-wide as well. We've also discussed reaching out to your nonprofit organizations, your faith-based groups for physical labor. I'm sure there are some young, able-bodied individuals that would be more than happy to help out. Are there any other things that you would like to add to that we're doing?
No, you know what? That's a great point, and we've really tried to search for those resources in our community, and countywide they're available. They just sometimes they are a little hidden. We have to reach out for them, but they're there. It's the same thing with looking for grants, looking for any sort of that assistance, and we really are trying to find more assistance with that because as Cambria is much like a lot of the county, there are elderly communities that need that assistance, and we really want to make sure that they're getting that additional support that's maybe not obvious to them. And again, we're here to help. We're here to reach out. We're here to do the work for you. But there is a big part of responsibility and accountability that has to happen with the community. They have to harness that accountability, and that's where that first step comes in.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that because another thing that we want to protect is our fixed income residents, right? Don't hire just some landscape person and do what they tell you to do. Run that by us. Run that so that we could tell you that what you are purchasing is going to meet that compliance. The last thing we want is for you as a homeowner to spend thousands of dollars and they actually didn't do really anything. And we're hearing stories of that throughout the state. And so reach out to us directly if you have questions, if you have concerns. We want whatever monies you have set aside for the defensible space or the home hardening that is done correctly. So reach out to us directly. We are free at any time to answer your question. We have a team of individuals that would be able to respond to you, whether it be on our internet, through a phone call, or an email. All that stuff is listed on our websites.